When I first retired from being a full-time Minecrafter and I decided to become an athlete, like most beginners when it comes to things like lifting and starting a sport, I was training really hard, but I wasn't getting as big or as strong or as good at my sport as I could have been because I was neglecting two very important things. As you probably know, when it comes to doing sports or doing anything physical, there's a lot of things you could do to get better, whether that's film study, mental preparation, journaling your mistakes so you could get better, all of which I'm a fan of, by the way. But there's three non-negotiables when it comes to being an athlete that you have to take care of, which I'm going to talk about right now. One big thing that new athletes tend to neglect when first starting out is eating and just proper nutrition in general. When I was gaining weight for football, I was one of the many people that just thought you need to lift a lot and you'll gain weight. There would be a lot of people on my team who would wake up late so they skip breakfast, and at lunch they're just messing around with their friends, so they pretty much don't eat anything before practice and they just go in and lift. And one of the idiots that used to do this was this guy right here. So I'd be confused when it would be the middle of practice or the middle of the lift, and I'd feel like super sluggish and just super tired. And I felt a little bit extra tired and shitty because at least the other people who were doing this played football before, and even though they didn't eat anything, their bodies are kind of used to football and training and stuff. But me, I was just coming off of being a full-time Minecrafter, so I was really struggling. But most people who are new to trying to gain weight really underestimate the amount of food you need to eat to be able to gain weight while you're an athlete. Like whatever you were eating before you started playing sports was just to maintain your weight, and now you're burning even more calories. Like you're just gonna end up losing weight if you don't eat even more than you already were. But taking care of your nutrition isn't just about gaining weight also. Like I just said, it's also about fueling your workouts and also picking foods that are gonna digest well with you and sit well with your stomach. I talked about in one of my other videos, one time I just decided to eat a shit ton of cheap sandwich bread for my carbs and just a ton of lamb for some protein right before practice. And it was one of the worst practices I ever had because the whole time it just felt like a brick was sitting in my stomach. And yeah, when I was playing football, I was a cornerback, so anyone who knows football, when I say I had a bad practice, it means I got like scored on a bunch by, the offense during that practice, and yeah, it was just a horrible day. But if you want to learn more about taking care of your nutrition, I have some really good videos on this channel. There's one that's 7 foods that all athletes should be eating. Another one is just a quick and easy meal you could make. And I have another video of just good snacks to eat, whether you're going on a road trip or snacks to bring to school or work. So all those videos you might find helpful. But another thing you could check out is just go into a calorie calculator website, and it'll ask you some information and just put down the information like your height and weight, how many times you're working out, what your goals are if you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, or maintain weight. And it will just split out like a rough estimate of the amount of calories you need to eat to achieve that goal. But yeah, nutrition as an athlete, super important. So after I got the eating down, I was still doing something super dumb, and that was not recovering properly. And like I say in other videos, there's a lot of stuff you could do for recovery, whether that's ice bathing, saunas, stretching, foam rolling, all of that stuff. But the main thing you're gonna do for recovery as an athlete is getting good sleep. And I take really good care of my sleep now. Like you can see, I even got blackout curtains so I could, get as good sleep as possible. But before this, I was doing things like staying up till 2 or 3 just talking shit with my friends online. But then the next day, I'd have to wake up at 6 for the morning lift with the football team. Just in case you don't know this right now, when you train, your body is actually getting weaker. It's only when you sleep and recover does your body actually repair itself and get stronger. And something all athletes should know is that Dr. Andrew Huberman says it's the same thing when it comes to learning new skills. Like it's only when you sleep does your brain play everything back and reinforce what you just learned so you could be a better person because of it. And right now that I'm doing Muay Thai, I feel this all the time. For example, I could be learning a new technique and it'll feel sloppy all practice that I'm learning it. And then I'll go to sleep and sometimes I'll even have a dream about it, which is completely normal according to him. And then the next day when I go into practice, it'll flow like much, much better than I expected it to flow. Obviously, it's not perfect. I still look really stupid when doing a new technique, but it will just be way better than I ever imagined it could be. But because of our glorious king, Andrew Huberman, we know why now. And just a side note, I did do a video of how to learn skills better based on the advice Andrew Huberman gave in his podcast on how to learn skills better. And I just applied to martial arts, so that's another video you could check out that I'll link in the description below. But if you want to be a good athlete, sleep is just going to be something you have to take care of. Of course, when I was playing football in junior college, or even now that I'm doing Muay Thai, I know some beasts that only run off 6 hours a night, but I think it's safe to say that even though they're a beast right now, they'd most likely be an even bigger beast if they were getting 8 hours. Of course, that's just my opinion, but I think every single neuroscientist or coach or sports specialist would agree with me. But if you want to learn how to get better sleep, I have 2 videos on this subject, so again, link in the description below. Now, the third thing of the big three of being an athlete is obviously training. Most beginners understand that for any athletic or physical pursuit, you're gonna have to do this. Is just they sometimes neglect the other two things. And even me, for the most part, it's something that I always took care of, whether I was playing football, getting bigger for football, or now that I'm doing martial arts. Even when I was a kid in England playing rugby, I couldn't miss training because, I obviously wouldn't be on the team if I didn't come to practice. Also, my dad was the rugby coach for my brother's team, so yeah, it's not like I'm gonna not show up to practice. But something I could have done a lot better is training smarter. When I first started lifting by myself, I'd be in the weight room for more than 2.5 hours, and that's because I was just messing around the whole time. But also, I wasn't doing things like explosive movements, which is super important for athletes, also training my legs, also just working on flexibility and mobility. And I was doing the thing that the majority of young football players do, which is only doing bench press and bicep curls, and once in a while some calf raises. So I could have been doing a lot more effective training that would have gotten me better at my sport. Again, I have videos to help with this too. One of them is the first 6 lifts all new lifters should master first, in my opinion. Then I also have another video of how bulking is different than a bodybuilder than if you're an athlete, and just 5 tips for that. Everyone's heard the quote before, work smarter, not harder, and yeah, this applies to training as well. So you've probably seen on Nike shirts or just other sports brand shirts where it's something like train, eat, sleep, repeat, and that's basically the life as an athlete. And for the most part, it is true. But of course, there are tons of other stuff you could do to get better, like film study, consulting more advanced coaches or more advanced athletes. Like, yeah, there's literally tons of stuff you could do to get better, but these are the 3 non-negotiables. If you're an advanced athlete or have been doing sports for a while, everything I just said in this video probably seems like a no-brainer to you, but it's always a good reminder. And I definitely wasn't aware of this when I, stopped playing Minecraft for 8 hours a day and started to do sports. And I really wish someone told me all of this. And if I'm being honest, some people probably did tell me this, but I just wasn't smart enough to listen. Or maybe I didn't actually know how to apply it. But with the links I gave you in this video, I give you a lot of actionable steps in each one of those videos. But like I said, for me, gaining weight was a really big priority for me since I was super undersized as a football player. So I also have a video of just 6 techniques or 6 tips when it comes to gaining weight, which you should check out somewhere here. And if you found this video helpful and you think this channel will be helpful to you, just make sure you hit the subscribe button. And as always, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section below and I'll get to them. But I appreciate you watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.